Buying of land is expensive and majority of Ghanaians avoid using professionals to procure their lands, clearly not understanding the necessary documents to be considered before consenting to the cost and buying of the land. Today we ask, what are the legal documents, the yellow card, site plan, or indenture? Also, what are the interests in these documents for both parties, and at what point is the buyer expected to receive these documents? To recap what was discussed last week, we found out that the audience opinion and suggestion revealed there is the need to relook at the subject in a broader perspective. It is therefore imperative for any prospective buyer or investor to undertake proper due diligence to minimize the risk of entering into a fraudulent transaction. The show takes a break here. We return shortly. Welcome back to the Pyramid Show, your number one tele-construction guy show. My name is Emmanuel Owusu-Ansah. We continue our discussion on the proper way of registering and acquiring your property here in Ghana. And my guest in the studio with me is none other Mr. Wentema Anaba, the CEO and also the Managing Director for Rebus Limited here in Accra, a renowned seasoned property consultant. Sir, thank you for making time to be part of our show.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much. From last week, we had a very interesting discussion, and I would want to pick up from where we stopped. That was on the negotiation. We have come to the point where you were explaining to us the necessary document one needs before you can finalize your documentation, your negotiation.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to appreciate all is done here. There were a lot of calls that came through last week. I was amazed. My secretary was able to even record about 73 calls.
73.
And most of them really appreciated what we were trying to get them to understand.
Okay.
So as last week, we did end on the consideration. However, before a consideration is paid, we have to also make sure that you should know the kind of documents you are receiving from the person selling the property to you. It is very, very important because you can't make payment whilst you don't even know what kind of documents you are supposed to receive. First of all, in receiving a document, we talk about you trying to make sure that your sales and purchase agreement is intact.
Okay.
The law requires that when you purchase a property, there should be two documents you are supposed to receive. That is the sales and purchase agreement and the instrument, the indenture, the deed of whatever you are receiving. So they are very, very important. If I have to go through the sales and purchase agreement, the sales and purchase agreement generally contains things that requires each party, your obligations in the contract. For instance, if the party is supposed to give you the right of entry, the sales and purchase agreement will spell it out. If the payment is going to be in installments, it will also spell it out. It will even spell out when there are issues, where you should go. Where do you go? Where do you go to make sure that those things are solved? Do you go directly to the court? Do you get another institution to take care of those issues? The sales and purchase agreement always talks about all those things.
Okay. So that's with the sales and purchase agreement.
Sure.
Talking about the other document, that is?
The indenture.
The indenture. Okay. So what is the indenture in the first place?
An indenture, as I keep on saying, is just a generic word, and it's basically the document you receive when you transact businesses, especially when it has to do with land. And we have a lot of them. We have the deed of assignment, we have the deed of lease, we have the sub-lease, we have the gift. We have all those kind of documents. But to be able to talk about those documents, we should understand certain vital things that people don't look at.
Okay.
There are issues that always come to our office. People walk in with their indenture and it doesn't meet the specifications. So what I would like us to understand, or our listeners to understand, our viewers to understand, is that when you have agreed with someone on a property and have taken a decision to go on with the property, the next thing you have to know is that what kind of even name are you putting on the document? What kind of name are you putting on that document? For instance, if your name you are putting on the document is different from the name that is on your Ghana card, it's a problem, because it's a requirement that Lands Commission will always make sure that the name must reflect to your Ghana card.
Okay.
In case of day action, you provide it and it will match your name. It helps. Secondly, others will also just try to put a name like Mr. and Mrs. Ansa. Mr. and Mrs. Ansa, when it comes to legal documents, you don't state such names, because Mr. and Mrs. Ansa is different from Mr. Ansa and Mrs. Ansa. And it is always required that you spell the name out. For instance, if it's my document, it will be Wintma Anaba, and whoever is joining in that contract's name in full. So I cannot just go and say Mr. and Mrs. Anaba. When I do that, it is faulty, it is void, and the Lands Commission will even reject it at a point.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned the possibility of an individual's ownership and that of co-ownership. You want to throw more light on these two?
Okay. The next one I'll be talking about is the co-ownership. You should also be able to understand that, are you holding that land alone, or you are holding it in association with others? The law, Article 18, requires that everybody can own a property, either alone or in association with others. So let's say if you alone buying a property, it's somehow not that difficult. But in case you are buying a property within a group and about 5 members are in that group, you want to purchase a property, that is where the trick is. So what kind of co-ownership are you trying to enter into? Because we have two types of co-ownership. Yes, we have the joint tenancy and we have the tenancy in common. The joint tenancy basically explains that you are one body person. One body person is an example of marriage. When you are married to your wife, you are seen as one. As the Bible says, you are seen as one. And it applies in the same way. So even if you are 5 people and you are doing joint tenancy, immediately you buy a property, it is presumed that you people are holding it together. And there's no way that you can later on say, okay, I'm giving mine to my descendants. I am giving one in a will to another person.
You cannot give it out.
You can't do that. All you do is that you are part of it. So when one party is deceased, what happens is that the rest of the 4 now become the owners of the property. When the 4th one dies, now the 3 people become the owner. And the person who dies, all his interest in those properties will move to the 3. So it continues in that direction till the last person. Now the last person is the one who will have the power to be able to alienate, to transfer the property to his siblings or whoever he feels like transferring it to.
Okay.
And when you look at joint tenancy has unique features. Those unique features are, you realize that the 5 of them will all have the same unity in possession. Mm-hmm. Unity in possession just means that they all have the right to possess that land. They will all have unity in title. Unity in title just means that whatever kind of title that is being transferred to the 5, everybody will have to hold the same kind of title. We have something we call unity of time. Unity of time is the duration of whatever has been given to you. For instance, if it is a lease, we are talking about 99 years. So that 99 years, each and every member of that group is also having 99 years. And one cannot have 90 and one having 99 years. So it is unity in time.
Okay.
And we have unity in interest. So the interest too on the land. let's say the interest is talking about specific things, all of you must also enjoy the same thing. The legalities, everything that comes with that document, everybody must also.
So talking about willing it.
No, you are unable to will it to any other person.
Okay.
Yes, you are not unable. So it is a jus crecedendi. And it means that when one person dies, it moves to the other person. When one person dies, it moves to the other person.
Okay.
The other group. So that is how it works.
Okay.
It's not like when we come to the tenancy in common. Tenancy in common is...
That's the other kind of co-ownership.
Co-ownership.
Yes.
It is quite different from that one. The only thing that they will have in common is possession. They will all have right to the property. But it is possible that when it comes to unity in time, you might be having 20 years and another person will be having 30 years. Most of the time when people are drafting their wills, that is what happens. They would draft the will and say that, okay, this person, you can be part of this property until you get married. So that means yours is up to the stage of you getting married.
I see.
Then you are out. Someone whose own will be, okay, the person will also be part of it until an occurrence, which will be stated in the will, then you are also in or out. Okay. So it depends on all that. So you should be sure of what you are going into. But they are all the general rule. And in every general rule, there are exceptions. There are exceptions to that rule. So let's come to Ghana.
Ghana. Before you touch on Ghana, let me make this important announcement. At this moment, you can be sending us your WhatsApp, your comments, your thoughts, your experience on the subject we are discussing here in the studio. The WhatsApp number is 0500 180 697, 0500 180 697. And also on social media, you find us on Twitter, the Pyramid_Show, the Pyramid_Show. Leave your comment, follow the page. We shall be responding. Anova.
Okay. As I was saying, it is presumed in our laws that when it is tenancy in common, when a property is being prepared, and they don't mention whether it is for joint or it is a tenancy in common, it means that it is presumed within our laws that it is an automatic tenancy in common.
Wow. So all these informations you are bringing to us, it's most important that we get a professional who understands this to put all these documentations together, because clearly you wouldn't understand if you're a layman. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you would need an expert who asks you, his clients, the questions, what you want, what are your intentions, so that it will be drafted in that document.
Okay.
So they are very, very important.
Now you started a discussion on here in Ghana, and I was also going to ask you this question. For every Ghanaian, we have the right to purchase a land. Is that the case for a foreigner?
No. I think that would have been even the next action I was going to take. Looking at it, now we are going to look at the requirements that we need in providing a name or the person who is purchasing the property. So let's come to think of it. When you are purchasing a property and you are going to be assigned a lease, the person preparing the document must find out if you are a foreigner or not. Because Article 266 clearly says that if you are a foreigner, you can't have a lease more than 50 years. And the same article also says that you can't have a freehold if you are a foreigner, a non-citizen. You can't. So clearly, you can't purchase a property, but the duration can never be more than 50 years.
Can't go beyond 50 years.
More than 50 years is void.
Wow. Wow. Now let's talk a bit about the yellow card. What is the yellow card? Last week we had quite a number of the questions coming in. Are they saying they have the yellow card? And they presume that to be the indenture.
Yes. A lot of people come with this issue. People come with their issue. They say, oh, I have all the documents. I say, okay, can you provide the documents you say you have on the property? Then they pull out an indenture and just the yellow card, claiming that they have title to the land.
Oh.
But an indenture is not the ultimate when we talk about registration. So they come holding the yellow card and saying that, oh, I've even gone to Lands Commission. Lands Commission has given me a yellow card, so I'm done. No, as I keep on saying, yellow card, for instance, is just like you going to a hospital for the first time and they checking you because you are the first time visitor. They give you a card. That card is for you to always bring it back when you are visiting the hospital. So it is a form of information that they can use to pull out your information within their records. So when we come to a yellow card, that is what it means. The yellow card contains the kind of transaction that you have come to apply for at the Lands Commission. It contains your name, it contains your address, and a specific number that Lands Commission has given to you, which enables them to always go through the records and be able to pull out or be able to tell you where exactly your registration process has gotten to or what you need to do on the next stage.
So clearly you have it. The yellow card is never a document, a legal document for you to use to emphasize that the property is yours, but rather a receipt from the Land Commission to help them follow up on your matter. Mr. Hannibal, it's been great so far, but let's talk about at what point me, the assignee or the lessee, before I make the payment, do I have the right to ask for any document from the assignor, the one selling?
You have the absolute right to do that.
Yes.
Anytime there is a...
So let me understand, let me help viewers. When I mention assignor and lessor, it means the one selling. And when I say lessee or assignee, it means the one buying, so that you can follow the discussion. So simply what I asked was that the one buying, is he supposed to be asking for any document from the one selling so that he can make a proper judgment on the cost, that is the consideration of the property, and also the tenure of years left for the said property?
Yes, if I'll answer that question, the first thing I have to say is that when it comes to a lease, if you are being granted a lease, you don't need to require an earlier document before that lease, because it's coming from the allodial title holder. So it comes directly to you. But if it is an assignment, then it means that you have to require the earlier document that is giving birth to the assignment, because the terms and conditions within the lease will transfer into the assignment. And you should also make sure that, yes, you are doing the right thing. I think as we go on, I'll explain what the covenants are. And if you get to understand the covenants, you know that, yes, it is very, very necessary to know what the mother document is saying before your document. And even when you are applying for registration at the Lands Commission, you are required to add a copy of your mother document to whatever has been given to you, then you file it within the Lands Commission.
Now you mentioned a freehold. What is a freehold?
A freehold is a property that is transferred from one person to another in perpetuity. So you hold it forever.
It doesn't expire?
It doesn't expire. No expiring date, not like a lease, not like an assignment, not like a sublease. It doesn't expire. So that one mostly is a conveyance. So when the conveyance transfers to you, that one mostly is being transferred from the vendor to the purchaser. And when it is transferred, it is in perpetuity.
Okay. So you're watching us live on Joy News Television, your favorite television. Again, you're reminded that you can send us a WhatsApp on 0500 180 697. 0500 180 697. On social media, on Twitter, that is the Pyramid_Show, the Pyramid_Show. Please do not call the WhatsApp lines. You are only to test the WhatsApp lines. Mr. Naba, you've been talking about lease assignment. Even recently, you mentioned the kind of indenture would determine as to whether you can lease a property. You would want to tell us the very instruments that we have.
Okay, there are so many instruments when it comes to properties. As I mentioned earlier, we have the lease, we have the sublease, we have the assignment, we have deed of gift, we have the conveyance, we have a lot of them. So in explaining, if I'll take a lease is basically a document that is transferring rights in a property from the lessor to the lessee.
Okay.
With a definite term.
With a definite term.
So if a lease does not mention a definite term in it, it can't qualify as a lease. A lease must always have a definite term. So you must know if you have 99 years on the property, you have 80 years, you have 75, it must pronounce it.
Okay, so simply it means that the name indenture is just a generic name. The right legal name for it is the instrument, and with this instrument, we have quite a number of these instruments. And rightfully said by Mr. Anaba, we have the lease, we have the assignment, the sublease, the conveyance, and gift. So he's going to give us a detailed breakdown of these very instruments so that we get to know the different indentures that we have. So, Mr. Anaba, you were on the subject, the lease.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that basically explains what a lease is.
What a lease
So when you are having a lease, the basic thing you should be looking out for is the definite term you are getting as part of the boundary of rights that it will transfer to you. The next thing I would like to also explain is a sublease.
No, but can we, with the lease, I have this question to follow up. When you talk about a lease, assuming I've bought a property and I want to sell it to another person, can I lease it? Or a lease is always coming from, let's say, an allodial owner, if I'm allowed to say that?
Yes, a lease is always coming from an allodial title.
And who is an allodial owner?
It's the originator of the ownership line.
A typical example?
A typical example is Asante Hene is the allodial title holder of the Ashanti lands.
Okay.
Yes.
Elsewhere in Tamale here?
Yes, yes.
The
so
Gamanche.
Maybe you would like to know how they acquired such properties.
Okay,
so
tell us.
An allodial title can be acquired through conquest. A conquest just means those days you see they fight to win possession of the place. They settle and use the land. So whenever such a thing happens, you become the allodial title holder.
Okay.
When you discover and onward cultivation, so let's say those days they move from even countries to other countries just looking for a good ground to stay. And in their moving, they find out that, oh, okay, this place is good. Nobody is settling around. They walk around, check. Nobody has come to settle here. Then they take over and make sure that they start to cultivate and live there. And they become the allodial title holders. Allodial title holder, too, it's possible it was bought. You can buy that. And under compulsory acquisition, you can also get your... that's
with the government.
The allodial title holder. So the state is also an allodial title holder on certain properties.
So
certain lands.
A family like the Futubrimpong family at Damfa, they are allodial owners.
Yes.
We can say that.
Yes.
If you go to Bawe,
yes,
the Bawe chieftaincy, they are allodial owners of lands within Bawe.
Sure.
If you come to La, you are talking of Osu, the Gamanche is the allodial owner.
Sure.
Within the Ashanti region, you mentioned the Asante.
Yes.
And in the upper part of Ghana, we are talking about the Na.
Yes.
The Yana,
yes,
he's the allodial owner.
Yes.
So simply allodial owner,
yes,
that's what it means.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so it means that for a lease, you need to be receiving it from an allodial owner.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So that is basically what a lease is. That
okay.
Is what a lease is.
That is what a lease is. Okay. Now let's talk briefly. You mentioned about an assignment. What is an assignment?
Let me explain sublease first.
Okay.
A sublease is also a document that is being transferred to you by somebody who has already received a lease and is subletting part of his term. So, for instance, if a person had a lease of 99 years, then he has stayed on the property for, let's say, 9 years. Mm-hmm. So basically, it is left with 90 years. So that 90 years, that person can decide to do a sublease to another person.
Wow.
So it's also the person who has been subletted
yes,
is also subletting to another person. So that is how subleases. So anytime you hear a sublease, then you should know that the allodial title owner has given it to someone, and that person is also giving it to another person. So that is basically what a sublease is.
Okay, so clearly now we understand that there are different kinds of, the word indenture, different types of indenture that one is given when he or she purchases a land. It's never general, it's never the same thing. Depending on the kind of land you are buying, that would define the kind of indenture that you are going to be given as to whether it's going to be a lease, it's going to be an assignment, a sublease, gift, and also a conveyance. We are taking a break here, but be reminded that you can send us a WhatsApp on 0500 180 697, 0500 180 697. They shall return shortly. Thank you for staying with us. It's still the Pyramid Show here on Joy News Television. Up next is the interactive segment with Audrey Dushi Kafui.
Thank you, Manuel. So on today's discussion, we're talking about leasing a land. How many years were you given in your indenture? So you can share with us your comments, your thoughts on Twitter at @the_pyramid_show. And on WhatsApp, the number is 0500 180 697. So we dive right into our comments on Twitter. So on Twitter, we have a comment coming in from MK7. I have observed that most of the companies that usually sell lands at installments sell these lands or lease for 50 years. Is there a justification to why they do this? Can they be taken on? Is there a law on the number of years a land can be leased for? The land bank know how far. Kojo Asari Bediako says 99 years. So we dive right into our WhatsApp messages. But before that, I acquired a land and I was given 99 years also. So you can also buy a land and then keep selling it. So first comment comes in from Oyibo Boateng, and he is asking, please, which of the acquisition of land is safe and secure? State lands, family lands, and still lands. Additionally, at which level of certification makes me a total owner of my land? I have a plot of lands in Accra, Dodowa precisely. I have been told to pay digging fee of 5,000 cedis. Is that right to do, please? That's another comment coming in. There's one from Godwin. New Abraham. Thanks for the education. You're welcome. Can he explain the terms title deed, deed of assignment, deed of lease, and probably deed of gifts he wanted to ask? Nine Gaddafi is asking, please, what's the minimum percentage in the mode of payment between parties in land transaction, and also who qualifies to the signatories side? I bought one plot of land from a company since 2021, and the company has still not delivered on its promise of handing over to me the required documents. What must be the reason? How long does it take to prepare land documents? Good afternoon, gentlemen. If couples have made a mistake in registering their properties, example, a piece of land, as Mr. and Mrs. already, how do you rectify it? And if the one sold the land to them has passed on, how would you rectify that also? Another says, assuming I have acquired a land, but unfortunately lost the legal documents to that particular land, maybe as a result of a disaster, what do I do next? Or how do I claim ownership of that particular land's documents I have misplaced? Somebody is asking, I want to know the cost of registration of one plot. So you can keep sending in your comments to us on Twitter at @the_pyramid_show, and on WhatsApp, the number is 0500 180 695. Please, when buying a plot of land, what do I have to check first before paying for it? Please, I want to find out whether the Lands Commission has a way of replacing lost or burnt land documents as a result of accidents or home fire for land owners. So that will be all for the interactive segment. Stay tuned and get your response.
A lot of interesting stories sometimes. We hear people buying lands in the sea. Now, you're telling us you have a land and you have a duration time period of 99 years. I hope yours is not in the sea.
Yes, mine is.
It's just not in the sea.
No, it's not in the sea.
Okay, thank you very much, Audrey. So thank you so much for being part of us. Annabelle, a lot of questions coming in. I would want you to attend to them before we go on.
Yeah, I would like to respond to the person who said he had already bought a land and they used Mr. and Mrs. I want to explain that portion very well. We are not saying that you cannot use Mr. and Mrs. What we are saying is that you cannot use Mr. Kofi Ansah. You can't use Mr. and Mrs. Kofi Ansah. That is what you can't use. But you can use Mr. Kofi Ansah and Adjoa Ansah.
So
yes.
Let me come in. So what we want to understand is, can we use the name Mr. Kofi Ansah and Mrs. Adjoa Ansah?
Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
But never Mr. and Mrs. Ansah.
That's wrong.
Okay. But so there was this comment, they said that was the situation they find themselves. So how do they resolve that?
I don't know. Lands Commission itself wouldn't have registered that document.
But I think probably it's on the indenture.
It's on the indenture. Just rectify it. Whoever did the document for you, go back to the person and that will be rectified.
Okay. The other one?
Yes. I think somebody also spoke about digging fee.
Yes.
A digging fee has become an issue that we handle each and every day. But there is what legally it is said. And there is something that you can do to solve an issue rather than going the long way.
But is it legal?
For example, when somebody comes to say they want digging fee, all they are trying to tell you is that they have kept the land. They have been watchmen on the land for so long, and now you have come to acquire it. So at least they, for what they have done, pay something for digging. But it has become like a must, which is very wrong.
Mandatory.
But it has become a norm now. And dealing with them is very, very dangerous. Because, for instance, if they come, they tell you that, oh, this plot of land that you have bought, if you don't pay us 500 Ghana cedis as digging fee, we are not going to allow you to build. Fine, you can go and bring the police. They will come and stand, you build. But everybody will go to sleep. But they don't go to sleep. They will come breaking down. So who is losing here? So sometimes, I'm not saying it is the right way, but we always advise that if it's that 500 Ghana, which will give you that your peace of mind, you just release it and you move on.
So
that's what I want to also say is that the new land law is also making sure that landguards are dealt well. If you look at the kind of punishment these days they will give it to a landguard, is serious, to just deter them from doing that kind of work.
No, Mr. Annabelle, let me announce that in the coming weeks, we would have an extensive discussion on landguards and how to, go about it. So he'll be coming back again to tell us more on how to handle these menace of landguards. There were other questions that came in. You touched on them quickly,
yes.
Then we move on.
Another person was asking, why is it that companies come to acquire the properties, the land, and now sell it to people for 50 years? I have also realized that most people who are building this estate will go in for the lease of the 99 years. And they will do a sublease to you for 50 years. So that when the 50 years ends, it reverses back to them. They will deal with you again, resell the property to you again, then before maybe it comes to an end, then they go to deal with their loyal title holder. Okay. So that is why they are doing that. And that is why you have to also negotiate well. So if I'm buying a property and looking at the property is okay for me, is good for whatever I want to do, what you have to also do is that you have to know that if you are getting 50 years, then how much am I paying for it?
Exactly.
Example, if I have my land adjacent to yours, yours is one plot, mine is also one plot, then your indenture is saying that it's given to you for 50 years, 40 years or whatever, And if mine is only transferring to me only 20 years, then I should be able to negotiate so that my consideration will match what I'm getting. Because your consideration that you pay, it's for the bundle of rights you are getting from the person who is also transferring his right to you.
So I think you've spoken about lease, sublease. The next instrument you want to talk about?
Yes, the next instrument I would like to talk about is the assignment. So basically, an assignment is a document that is transferring interest from the assigner to an assignee for the remaining residue. So when we say remaining residue, all we mean is that the remaining time the person had from the lease. For instance, if you get a lease from any of the allodial title holders for 99 years, okay, so you are having 99 years, and now you have lived on it for, let's say, 9 years. So you are left with 90 years. So that 90 years, if you decide to give all that 90 years to me, then it means that you are assigning your bundle of rights within the 90 years to me. So assignment will transfer it with the time that is left, which is very, very important. So anytime you see an assignment, one of the things you have to look at is the duration that you are getting from the person.
Now, Mr. Anaba, let me ask this. In most developed areas, I want to believe if you're buying a property within, say, a salam down, you're talking about, that's 37 cantonments. In Kumasi, you're talking about Hojo, you go to Takrade itself, who you are talking about whole municipality, the developed areas. Definitely you are going to be given an assignment. It's never going to be a lease because they've already acquired the property and probably run it for a period of time, and they can only give it out as an assignment.
No, that will not be true.
That will not be true.
Factual. Because you can still get lands that the chiefs have not given to anybody yet. So those lands will be given to you as a lease. It is when another person has gotten a lease and that person is trying to assign it to you, that is when you get the assignment.
Okay.
So definitely all the places you mentioned, it is possible. But when you talk about places like airport residential area, there is no bare land there. So that was what I was trying to say.
Within these areas, there is no bare land there. And obviously, the grantor has already given it out. So if you want to buy a property, it's already developed.
Yes.
Meaning it's only going to be an assignment.
Sure.
That was what I was trying to say. But a follow-up. So I'm buying a property from somebody who has already had it from the grantor, that's the lessor. How would I know the number of years, the duration period left in the indenture? Because you are selling it to me. Probably you are selling your house within Salam Down, these areas that are developed. And you already have the lease. How would I know that, okay, Anaba is selling his house. I want to buy. How would I know the number of years you have to keep the property? So that then I can, based on that, and negotiate the price with you.
Okay, so in answering this your question, let me just suppose it with the dealings within the Lands Commission. Lands Commission has power to lease the state lands, the public lands, to whoever qualifies for it. So let's say if someone qualifies for such a property and it is leased to you, and later on you decide to also grant an assignment to another person, the person who is now getting the assignment must do the necessary searches. And when you apply for a search at the Lands Commission, the Lands Commission search will indicate that it was a property of the government which has been given to Lands Commission to administer. Then it will also indicate that it was given to this person as a lease for 50 years.
Okay.
And for the 50 years, you also get to understand that how many years is left so that you know that you are dealing and paying the right consideration.
Okay, so the phone line is activated. You can call and be part of the discussion. Thank you very much for that clarity. I think now it's sitting proper with me. Anything you want to add on to assignment?
I think there was a question that was talking about consideration.
Consideration, okay.
Yes, the person was asking what amount will be good to pay for a property. As I always say, you will need the professionals to do that. So you get a professional valuer, go to the property, value the property, and tell you what you are supposed to pay.
And what are the factors professionals look out for?
Oh, we look at the area. We look at if the area is serviced, you have light, you have water flowing. We even look at your neighbors. Who are your neighbors? For instance, if I have a property with you in the same area, but mine is next to a bank, my valuation will be higher than yours because the bank situated just by my property adds value to mine. So it differs, and you have to always get the professionals to check and be able to tell you how much you are supposed to be paid.
Okay, so from Takrade, Jude. Hello, Jude.
Hi.
Hello, Jude.
Hi.
Please go on,
Hi.
Jude. Okay, sorry about that. Please, your submission. Jude, your submission.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry we lost Jude there. You can call the number on your screen and be part of the discussion. Mr. Annabelle, let me come back to assignment. I'm so particular about assignment because I believe a lot of people, they are indentures assignment, but they just do not understand that. There are times we are told, okay, before you resell the property, probably I acquired the property from you, but before I can resell it, I have to seek the consent of the person I bought from. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. What you are supposed to do is that whenever you are purchasing a property, you are required to do the searches as we have mentioned earlier on. So when those searches are done, you get to know all the basic things you need to do when somebody is giving you an assignment. You have to request for the person's document, which is transferring to you. And in that document, you'll be able to know all those details.
Okay.
All those details are always in that document. So when you get an assignment and you want to be sure of whatever is being transferred to you is the right one, you have to also get the mother document of the person to be able to do that.
So 0302211691 is the number to call to be part of the show. Here in Accra, George. Hello, George. Hello, George. Hello, George. Please tone down the volume of your set. Okay, sorry for this. Mr. Annabelle, please, you were talking to us. We were talking about such a detail that before you can resell the land, I've already bought the property from you. You've given me probably it's a lease instrument or an assignment instrument, and you've already given me my land already. But yet, if I'm to resell the land to another person, I have to seek your consent.
Yes. So when you are supposed to resell the land to another person, you have to look at the mother document that gave birth to that assignment. So in knowing that, you'll be able to know if it was a requirement that the person must come to seek your consent. For instance, when Lands Commission grants somebody a lease, it is spelled out in that lease that before you even grant it to another person, you must come to Lands Commission to apply for what we call
okay, so
a deed of
Mr.
assignment.
Hanover, I'll be coming back to you. Sorry for holding you
That's
back
okay.
today most of the times. Samuel, hello, Samuel.
Hello, yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, Samuel.
Good afternoon, sir.
Samuel, your submission.
Yeah, please, I wanted to know, I bought a land and I was given a document, and I want to know whether if those documents given to me are enough. I was given allocation paper, and also I was given the site plan. Is that enough?
Okay, thank you, Samuel. Mr. Annabelle would attend to you.
Okay, you were given allocation letter and a site plan. That's not enough. So you have to go further to make sure that you get the indentures. Whatever indenture they are supposed to give it to you, it will determine from whatever transfer that is coming to you. So if it is the first transaction on that particular land, then it means that you'll be getting a deed of lease.
A deed of lease.
So I believe that yours is going to be a deed of lease. So follow up with them and make sure that that document is given to you to be able to go on with the registration process.
Okay, so again, let me go on to the phone. Isa from Accra. Hello, Isa.
Yes. Can I proceed? I have a question.
Yes.
If you conduct a search and they said that the lease that you hold, that if it is said that your grantor has no interest in the land that has been transferred to you, what would be the implication of that? That you hold an indenture and the land commission says that your grantor has no interest in that land that has been transferred to you. What would be the implication?
Thank you very much, Isa. Thank you.
Okay, the implication will be that you will not be able to register that land, because definitely if Lands Commission has to go on to even register that property for you, they will also do an internal search within their records to find out who is the right owner of that land. And immediately that search is done internally, it will be proven that the land is not for them. So what you have to do is that go back with the official search report that you have to the person who granted you that land and let the person know that his name cannot be found on the land. So if you have already made payment, that would be very unfortunate, because last week we made people to understand that you don't make payment until you have done your due diligence, the searches and all that, and even you have to get the document and check all those things before you make payment. So if you have made payment already, that would be unfortunate, but you can still get a legal person to push on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anaba. For lack of time, we have, I think we've spoken about lease, assignment, sublease. We have conveyance, then gift. Can you touch on them? Okay. We have 5 more minutes to go.
Okay, a deed of gift. A deed of gift is just basically the word it says, it's a gift. Okay. So you are giving something to someone as a gift without expecting a consideration. So that becomes a gift. And you see, when we spoke about the assignment, or when we were talking about the lease, we were using some words like when it comes to an assignment, we have the assigner and the assignee. When we come to the lease, we're talking about the leaseor and the leasee. When you come to a gift, it is the donor and the donee. Okay. So that is how it is done. So the donor is just giving it to you for free without expecting anything back. And you also have it. Now
we talk about conveyance?
Yes. A conveyance is basically a land that is transferred to you most of the time in perpetuity, like a freehold. When you see a freehold document, it is coming from the vendor to the purchaser. And most of the time, they are in perpetuity. They have it forever. But as I said earlier, a foreigner cannot have such interest in our country.
Talking about freehold, does the law, in time past, I know most properties, they were freehold. Currently, does the law allow that?
You see, what the law did was that from 1969, 22nd August, it sealed it that anybody who had a freehold was reduced to 50 years.
Okay.
So when you read Article 266, I think 5, it talks about you can't grant a freehold, and it is automatically reversed to 50 years.
So before we go, a summary of today's discussion and the best advice to give our listeners.
The best advice is always to do the right thing, because these days getting money to invest in properties is not an easy joke. So you must also ensure that any amount you are putting in, any investment you want to do, you don't lose it. And what I would also like to say is that 2% of your consideration amount used to do the necessary due diligence is very, very important. And we should not see it as cost that is not necessary.
Okay. A very big thank you to Mr. Wintima Anaba, the Managing Director for Rebus Limited, for joining us on the show. A very big thank you to the production team. You have Forsen Alice Koka, Audrey Dushi Kafui Ohine in Kumasi, Mesha Keduo Kai all the way in Dallas, Texas, and also to Smeg 360. And to our audience, we say a very big thank you. We'll be coming your way same time next week.